Stein is with us, and if you could introduce yourself and then make whatever statement you'd like to make about your budget.
I'm George Kilgore. I'm the County Director with the University of Tennessee, Tennessee State University, and Agricultural Extension with Metropolitan Government. I do want to say thank you for the opportunity to address the mayor and those present in regards to our budget for the FY15. It's always a pleasure to share some of our accomplishments and some of the things that we are doing in regards to agricultural extension. Of course, one of the things that we're most proud of looking at our agricultural programming is that we do conduct the Master Gardener program, which is a 14-week educational program for our Master Gardeners. These Master Gardeners give back volunteer time, which amounts to about $180,000 of voluntary time that they give back in that 40 weeks that they have to supply. We're also very proud of our school garden and our community garden programs that are going on here in Davidson County. Right now, Davidson County has about 47 school gardens and about 60 community gardens that are established, but since February, we've contacted 27 additional school gardens that we're involved in working in, to include the YMCA, the YWCA, the Boy Scouts, and we've also contacted and are working with the Casa Azafran Community Center, I believe it's called, working with the Hispanics and the Kurdish population here in Davidson County. So it's a real pleasure for us to work with that group. We do have a community school garden coordinator that takes care of that programming. Last in the FY14 budget, the Metropolitan Council did pass a $25,000 grant to assist the community gardens and the school gardens for Davidson County. We did award 10 grants out of that $25,000. We awarded 4 to schools, and the other 6 were nonprofit groups here in Davidson County that actually either work and have their own garden with their nonprofit, or they support a nonprofit group such as the Whites Creek Community Club with a garden here in Davidson County. So that's really been a real big highlight for the people involved in our program in regards to the community and school garden program. And then, of course, along with that, we do have our family consumer science programs that we do teach our finance and our programs to help people with the obesity issues, and then, of course, our 4-H programs with public speaking and all the other activities that our 4-H youth are involved here in Davidson County. With regards to our budget, this is the year that our budget is, like many departments here in metropolitan government, it's tight. It's very tight. In order to come up with this $7,800 that we're requesting for the 3% budget, we were able to take some monies from our benefit line items. We were also able to take some monies from the telecommunication, and decrease that. The remaining balance of that, of course, would have to come from decreasing one of our FTE's hours from an 80-hour pay period to a 60-hour pay period in order to meet that criteria for the full $7,800 3% cut for ag extension with metropolitan government.
Okay, thank you. Could you explain to the viewing audience agriculture's extension relationship with UT and TSU?
We are a partnership, of course, with the University of Tennessee as the coordinator for extension programming in the state of Tennessee. There's 95 extension offices across the state of Tennessee. That is an 1862 program that was established way back with the Smith-Lever Act. And then in 1890, the cooperative extension program for the land-grant universities with like TSU came on board, but the University of Tennessee and Tennessee State Universities are the program portion of our programming. All of our programming comes through the University of Tennessee and TSU Extension, and through our programs, we deliver those non-biased educational programs here in Davidson County and, of course, throughout the state. But out of we're funded by the University of Tennessee and Tennessee State University and, of course, metropolitan government making up our budget here.
And as you mentioned, the department received a $25,000 school community garden grant. How has that gone, and how do you see that program going in the future?
That is the most beneficial program that I've ever had the opportunity to be a part of here in metropolitan government, working with Ag Extension, because most of these schools and most of these nonprofits had no money source to begin their school gardening program nor their community garden program. Now, some of them did, yes, of course, but to have that opportunity to have that additional funding that they can buy their seeds, they can buy the few things that they need to build their raised beds, was a real shot in the arm for them. And I think we're going to continue to see the interest in the community gardens. We definitely want to get into these areas of metropolitan government that are floodplains and using that floodplain land for these community gardens, because it was a tremendous shot in the arm for these organizations and schools.
So how do you utilize the money? I mean, you give them a grant then, or how does that work?
Right. What we did, they had to apply, of course, for this school or community garden grant. We looked at it. We looked at their matching monies that they already had available, if there was any matching money. Because of the $25,000 that we had to break it down due to the request that they made, because the maximum dollars was $5,000 that they could request. So we wanted to make sure that those who requested the money hopefully got something for their application. So what we did, we looked at it, we selected the 10, we got 11 total grants back, applications back. We looked at them. If they met the criteria, we awarded those 10, and out of those 10, they received monies from $2,800 down to $1,400 based on their initial request.
And going forward, what sort of demand would you foresee for that type of grant program?
The demand is going to be much, much greater. It's going to be hard to, if we're looking at just simply the $25,000 again for the FY15 budget, it's going to be tough to be able to select those gardens that will be requesting this money. It has been such a great program. Once we get the logistics out of the way as far as signing of the contracts and that procedure, it will be a real opportunity for the schools and community gardens to really have benefit from that funding.
And then after the grants are awarded and the contracts are signed, do you follow up with them to see how they're doing or how the money's utilized?
That is correct. In fact, in May, I will be reviewing all of their receipts and invoices that they have purchased, things with the grant funding that they've received, and then I'll do a personal visit to each one of the sites to look at the site to make sure that the monies were used as they were intended, but to also look at the great work that they're doing. For example, the Bale Garden has and I have been out there. They're already in the process of doing the kitchen area, teaching. There's a teaching kitchen that they have made out there in the Bale Garden, which is just an exceptional thing.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask you, is sort of what they use the money for, what types of things they use the money for.
Creve Hall Elementary School is a perfect example of starting from scratch. There is not a school garden there at Creve Hall. So what they're proposing through their parent-teacher organization, working with parents there in the Creve Hall area, they're going to do a outdoor educational garden for the students there at Creve Hall, where it will be a teaching garden where the kids will actually come out and plant and do all of those types of things, but they want to build it to where they will have a little seating area where they can actually put on educational programs there in the garden.
Okay.
Do you all use social media to get the word out about seminars and education?
We certainly try, and like a lot of different departments, social media is kind of a new thing for us, and we're having to learn. Not only do we have a website with Metropolitan Government, we also have a website with the University of Tennessee, and then we also have the Facebook social media page with the University of Tennessee, and we definitely have as much information as we can on those media sites to reach the people of Davidson County.
Okay, great. Okay, anything further? Rich?
No, sir.
Well, good. It sounds like a successful year, and I'm happy to hear that the community garden process has gone so well.
Very much so.
It's a good thing for the city.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We now have the municipal auditorium and Councilman